So here we are in the wild and windy Scottish borders on a February afternoon. I'm here to do a video, quite a brief one really, on this particular Pilote, which we bought in September 21. And we downsized from a larger motorhome, which was great. It had many good features, but we found it a little bit difficult to get into certain locations when we were touring in the UK. So we downsized to this particular model, which is a Pilote 650C. It's part of the Pacific range of Pilotes. And I thought I'd do this video because although there are some on YouTube, there's not many in the English language. So I thought, well, I'll keep this as brief as possible. If you're new to us, and you're interested in following our escapades in this particular vehicle, then please subscribe. And if you like this video or dislike it, please respond accordingly. So here's the cab on the Pilote P650C. This is a manual gearbox on this one, and there is an updated cab for 2022-23. This one is now what is regarded as the older style, but it's still quite aesthetically pleasing, I think, anyway. There is actually an automatic gearbox available, which is 9-speed, and a lot of people are very pleased with it, and it is very popular now. There's an 8-inch media pack on this one, and we have an additional sat-nav and dash cam installed on this one, which we can take out of the window when we want. So moving back from there, there's quite a useful shelf going all the way around, which has got a ridge on the front of it. So generally most things that you keep up there will not end up coming down. And a nice roof light over there, which has got the blind on it as well. So that's pretty good. It's got the Remus blinds. There's also Remus blinds to the front, which pull up on the windscreen, and also on the side doors as well. So moving on from there, back into the dinette area, you'll see here that we've actually removed the dinette table. Primarily because this particular format works better for us. We've taken out the dinette table, which would extend out towards the camera, and made a slightly smaller one. Don't worry, we've not cut the original one up, we've kept that, but we've made a smaller table which works as an occasional table for us. These are belted seats here, so you can actually carry 4 people, and you can also make a bed up in this area. Obviously the cab seats do swivel round as well. So obviously, to keep this video as short as possible, I'm not going to start messing around with those now. But I'll just pan back from there and you can sort of get a bit of an idea. This one is quite light coloured inside. In fact, it's predominantly white, which some people might not like, but it does actually allow for a lot of reflected light to come back within the habitation area. I'm just going to turn some of the lights on now. So there are some lights underneath the cabinets, and also there is a roof light at the top there, and some nice lights which come on down the side of the seat. So I'll probably just leave those on because it makes it a little bit brighter here on the camera. Excuse the washing up bowl on the bed. I just moved that out of the way to show you the kitchen basically. So here we've got the kitchen area. It is quite small and compact. There's not a massive amount of prep area, but there is a sink, obviously, a tap, and a 2-burner gas hob with a splashback here and a splashback on the back of the hob area. Some models do have electric on the hob, but this one doesn't. And also there's a Thetford duplex oven at the bottom, which is ample for us. And we've got some drawers here. So we've got a cutlery drawer. There is a little section here, which I'm not quite sure what you might use for, but you could put a towel in there. And then obviously some further drawers down the bottom, quite a nice deep one there. And there's also one down under the oven, which I'll just try and get to. So we've got a little cupboard under there. There's another cupboard, or another drawer, shall we say, under the so we can see everything. We've got everything sort of wrapped up so it doesn't jingle around. And then probably one of the best features about this one is the large fridge. So as you can see here, we've got a fridge and a freezer. The freezer's not that big, but it is there. That's probably what was rattling as I drove up, was the freezer door. And then these shelves, which can be moved about wherever you might actually need them. So they are quite good. Had to do a little bit of remedial work with these when I first got them. So there are some little pads underneath to stop them rattling around because they are plastic. It's the general sort of thing that you have to do with most of these motorhomes anyway, as you find out what rattles and what doesn't. So obviously there's a 3-way control there, and that is particularly good. It seems to work quite efficiently. And then we've got another cupboard up there, so you can see that's quite a good storage space as well. And then there's a cupboard which is quite tall underneath. It's backlit from the lights underneath, so the lights shine through at both sides, which is good. So it lights your cupboard up and also lights up underneath. Excuse the untidiness, but unless you do these videos when the motorhome's new and empty, you cannot really see how things fit in. So there's another, obviously, a window here over the oven and the kitchen area. So that's got a blind on it as well, which is rather good. And then on this one we have a window and a blind too. That's apparently the I don't know what they actually call it. They say that it's a higher spec door than they fit on some models. I'm not quite sure. There's an entrance step as well, automatic entrance step, and then we've got our TV, which we installed. There's quite a good TV bracket here, which can go up and down, and you can also turn the TV round so that you can actually watch it from the bed. There's already an aerial installed and a socket up there which will allow for a 12-volt TV to be installed. A couple of good features. There are coat hangers in a few locations around the motorhome, which you don't always get. And whilst I'm over here, then there is the Truma iNet controller and another tablet here, which you either like or you don't, which has the controls for the heating in duplex to the one up here, and you can see how much water you've got on, how much wastewater, and also you can turn on the auxiliaries such as the 12-volt electric. You can turn it on and off from there. And down at the bottom there's a couple of switches as well for the lights, a main 12-volt switch on and off at the top, and then the button for the step at the bottom. So comes standard on this particular one. And then I'm just going to move through into the bedroom. At this time I'll take the things off the bed that I left there before, and this is a bed which can be raised up. So it can be raised up so that you can get the area in the garage larger. It will allow for a bike to go underneath. So this is a double bed. It's very comfortable. It's not made up at the moment, as you can see, because we're sort of not travelling at the moment. And there's two large wardrobes at the side. They're all right for carrying what you would carry if you were away for a week. They're not massively big, but they are quite deep. So and there's a hanging rail in there as well, so you can hang your shirts and trousers up in there without any problem whatsoever. That's the concertina bits for the bed at the side, which you don't see when the bed is fully up. And there are some speakers as well underneath the cupboards at the top. When the bed's fully down as it is now, you can actually sit in the bed and lean against the headrest there, the backrest. Like I said, there's a couple of speakers and a couple of spotlights at the top, and some quite large cupboards with shelves in. Nice windows at either side with net curtains and with blinds as well at either side of the bed. So they're quite nice. And also there's a roof light at the top with a blind on it as well. And if I switch on the lights in here, you'll be able to see, just leaning back to do that. So you can see that there is a light under the bed, a light above the bed, so to speak, and a light in the ceiling there. So that's quite good if you're looking for something that you can't see at night. Round to the toilet and bathroom area, you can see there that there's a mirror at the back, and a large cupboard which is in the corner. So that's quite useful, with shelves in, and down to the sink. You can see the tap is up at the moment because we're sort of completely empty of water. And then down to the shower base. So there is a duct board in there at the moment. It's actually more like a piece of the flooring, which is really good. So it makes the floor look like it continues across there. And then we've got obviously the toilet there and the toilet control, so we don't need to go into that in detail. And if you want to make up the shower area, there's a little clip at the top here, which we just move back. It's easier to do with two hands. And then you can, and if you just bear with me 1 second, you can then unclip this at the side, and the whole of the bathroom area swings round like that. Panel comes across there, and that is the shower area. Obviously take the piece of the flooring out. So it's quite a good size really. It's quite ample in that respect. And then you've got the door which pulls round to make a cubicle, and we're quite happy with that. We don't use it that often, but if you need it, it is there. And then that just folds away, so it's quite a good space saving area. There's a cupboard underneath the sink, and yeah, it's pretty good. Quite a nice space. A reasonable amount of space to get in to the toilet, and then another area above to let the light in. Obviously, there's no fan in that one, but it's still okay for letting the steam out of the shower. Nicely lit, good mirror on the background, and then if we move round towards the side of the bed, you can see there's a step on either side for getting in and out should the bed be raised. So there we have it. I'll just pan back round again. So this particular model is 6.5 meters long, and it's quite compact. We travel with 2 dogs, and it is pretty much ideal for us. We've obviously downsized. I don't know whether you can see it snowing outside there, but it is. We've downsized from a large auto trail, and there are some compromises with these things, but generally speaking, we're very happy with the Pilote range. We've noticed that there is a compromise also on build quality in some respects. The auto trails tend to be really well built, and this is, but it is a little bit of a compromise when you look closely in some areas. So there we go. Just panning around whilst I'm talking a lot of rubbish, but at least it gives you a feel of the area and the sort of space that you have. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to take you outside now and show you probably one of the most interesting features of this particular vehicle, and that's the fact that you can raise the bed up and down to get maybe bikes or electric bikes in there, or if you want to load extra luggage in, it's possible to change the height of the bed and thus the area of the garage quite considerably. So it's brightening up outside. It's not snowing now, so let me take you out and we'll have a look at that. Just before we do that, let's make sure that the auxiliary switch is on, which allows the 12 volts to be used in the garage, in addition to other areas on the motorhome. As you can see here, we also have the controls for the heating and the lighting, the main one, and also for the water pump. Obviously the heating can be changed from the Truma unit up here, or you can make changes on the tablet. So we'll just come out of that. As you can see here, as you can see, we've got no water and we've got no wastewater, but we are receiving some solar power through the panel on the top. So as it stands at the moment, we have 5 days of power, but we haven't actually got anything turned on. So let's head off outside and we'll have a look at what we can do with the bed. So a little noisier outside with the wind and the traffic, but this is the switch here for the bed, which is located on this one next to the external shower point. So if I press the up button, you can see hopefully the bed going up. Very slowly. and it goes a considerable distance actually, enough to get two small bikes in the back, or certainly some larger bikes with maybe the front wheel taken off. That's the full extremity of it, and then obviously you can use it in that location, or you can lower it back down again. So I've got my finger on the switch again down there, and then the bed's coming back down to what essentially is a better level for it to be used for sleeping on anyway. So there we go. There's 4 motors which do this quite effectively and quite smoothly. So there we go. So I'll just close the garage door over, because there is actually a larger garage door on this side than there is on the other. And I'll just quickly walk you round in the wind. So there's the filler cap for the water. We've also got the gas locker there, which will take to 13 kilograms. There you can see the step out. Obviously I've been travelling, it's quite dirty. And if we move around to the other side of the motorhome, there is quite a lot more dirt there as well. But there is the 240 or 220, 240 volt input. There's quite a big locker underneath at the bottom, which allows for storage of electric cables and so forth. And then you've got your toilet entry there. And like I say, there is another garage door at the other side, which is slightly smaller. So if you were putting bikes in, you would put them in from the other side. So there we go. That's a bit of a view of the outside. Not very clean, like I say, but there we have it. Quite a nice finish, really, in that all the outside is completely white. There's very few sort of decals and colours on it, which some people do like. But that's the view of the outside. So I hope you've enjoyed this little tour of the P650C. If you've kept with us this long and listened to me for this long, well done. I just hope it gives you a little bit of a better insight into some of the features that are available and the actual style of the interior. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks I'm going to do a little bit more on preparing the garage to take our 2 electric bikes. So hopefully if you've enjoyed this video, you'll come back and watch how we actually tackle that issue. So look forward to seeing you then. Bye.